Hey, what's up? We're over at the lathe right now. I'm just putting this in here so I can control it when I need to. Kind of see what I got going on. So we're going to take this brass slug that I cut. It's 1.5 inches by, I think, about 5 inches. I don't remember. It's 4 inches. Okay. And we cut that over on the saw. I didn't show that for the bigger ones. I'll show that when I start doing the tops. But what we're going to turn that into is one of the feet for the shelf project. As you can see, I got these little threaded rubber foot pieces here that when it's all done are just gonna kind of thread right in the bottom there, and we'll have that, and then we'll have a piece of copper on here with the threaded rod going right down the middle. This one is the first one I did, and I'm just taking my measurements off this, and they are not really super accurate or anything. I'm not trying to get them perfect, but close. So these fins will be cut a little different, or this diameter, or where this ends up will be a little higher or a little lower. It gives it some personality that way. But I want them to be relatively close so that, you know, unless you're scrutinizing, you're not going to notice it. So let's get this in here. And this is probably going to be a longer video, but we'll find out. Let me see. Alright, that speed's good. As you can see, brass everywhere. I've been making a few of these. So we're going to change out the cutter, because I was doing them before. We're going to end up at this, and then we'll flip it around and machine this end. So let me get the correct cutter. Ah, my insert's chipped. Alright, let me pause the video and change out the insert. It's chipped on both ends, so I will need a new one. I'll be right back. Okay, so that's just the new insert on there. The other one, you can see, well, I don't know if you can see it, but the trying to get it on camera. Hopefully you can see it. The end of it is blown off. And it's like that on both sides. So, time for a new one. Probably did that when I was turning some 4140 the other day. That's a lot harder than the brass here. But I did not notice it until now. Okay. Make sure these are nice and snugged up so we don't have any movement. Move you out of the way. Now we're just going to touch off. There we go. Move it down. Make sure I have clearance. And then I'll hit right here, and this gives me a mark so I know where I'm turning to. Alright, now I'm just going to square it up. Well, not square it up, true it up, so that it is on center. I don't have to go all the way to my mark. typically you wouldn't be turning this far out unsupported, but because I'm not going for high position, a little bit of it is okay. Because I'm sanding it and polishing it as well, any chatter marks I get, because I'm turning it too far out, will not be visible at the end. So normally you want to support this by countersinking it and using a live center. It helps cut down on chatter. Some of the operations we do will probably run into a little bit of it. So 147-ish. Probably need to take another pass. Oh no, that looks about dead on. At least for calipers. Yep. On the calipers, it's within like a thousandth, so that's saying 171 or 1471, and that's saying 1472. Calipers are not as accurate as a mic or anything like that, so don't read too far into that. Now what we're gonna do give myself a little bit of marking area. So I can turn this shoulder and then we'll do the threads after that. That is how I have been doing it. Okay. That will be good. Let's see. Okay. Okay. And then good. There's some of the chatter I was talking about right there. Because we're so far out. The end of the workpiece. But that's okay. Kind of aggressive, you can lower that a little bit. See where we're at. Aiming for 1025-ish. Now if I was trying to be super accurate, I'd be using a mic, and at the end here I'll be making finer cuts than what I'm gonna do, but more of a artistic thing than a machining thing. One, 2, 5. Okay. Good to go. It's got a little bit of bounce to it. We go 1056, so we're getting close. Another pass and see where we're at. Machine's a little noisy today because it's kind of cold out, so. Oops, 1008 went a bit too far. But that's still good because one of these, this is just my gauge. One of these is going to go over the end of the finished one with a wooden dowel inside it, so, and then the threaded rod. Whoops. So, like I said, doesn't have to be super accurate. Now, the next step, we're going to be doing the threads. So, let's get the carriage out of the way. Well, out of the way enough for now. There we go. Get our center drill in. Now we're switching over to our drill. On the top here, we're going 2 inches deep, and my quill is in millimeters, so that means 50 millimeters. It does have an inch measurement, but it's harder to read because it's underneath. So I go by millimeters on the quill. Go. You off. You out. Now, this is a little trick for starting a tap that I like to do. I'm sure most people do with when you're trying to get a straight tap on a lathe. You put it in a drill chuck. Don't lock the compound down and just spin it. Now these drill chucks don't hold taps very well. You can see it's spinning a bit. So I just start it there, leave the tap in, loosen that, pull it off, and then use my tap handle. Now I think I'm gonna have to move the camera out of the way here because it's in a little bit of an awkward spot. So let me see. That'll hopefully work out well. So we will be fitting this on. we go. Now, I use a chuck on here for leverage. I have a mark down here on my tap so I know how deep about we're at. Yeah, tapping brass is a bit on the squeaky side, I have noticed, but that's okay. Now you could do this under power sometimes with some machines. Mine tends to bind up and stall, so I don't do that. And I also, holding it in a drill chuck is not really the best way. Alright, now we're about halfway, so I'm going to clear all these chips out. Now I know somebody's going to be like, how come you're not using cutting fluid on there? I don't use cutting fluid on the brass. I'm not sure if there is one that works really good on brass, but every time I use it, it just causes more of a mess and things to gum up than not using it at all on brass. Now if this was steel or something, I'd probably use like Anchor Lube or actual cutting fluid, but brass is soft enough where I don't really worry about it too much. And these threads aren't tiny. If this was a tiny tap, that'd be a pain in the ass. Alright, it's getting hard again, so let's get these chips out. This tap is getting pretty worn out. I've used it quite a bit. Should go pick another one up, but I've only got 2 more of these to do. Well, this one, another one, and half of one. So, I think I'll just finish it out with this tap and then scrap it, get a new one. Oops. Can be a little awkward trying to spin the tap on here sometimes. Everything in the way like that. This is probably the one of the longer operations for this is to tap it, because it is 2 inches deep, so it is a relatively deep thread. close. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is back it all the way out. Take all the chips off and then run it all the way down again. I don't have my air compressor hooked up or I'd blow it out, but it's good enough. Most of projects like this don't have to be exact. So I'm already going pretty close, so little minor differences in it in the end aren't really going to matter, because the other end of it will what do you call it, take out any bits of differences when we go to assemble it. There we go. That is all the way tapped. So, there we go. We have our hole tapped. Let me get my deburr tool. Clean that up. We're not going to face this. It does not matter. So, I'm not going to do it. Now, we need to change this over to our next tool, is this one. We're going to put a chamfer right here. This one, you can see this chamfer right there. This end we'll do later. So right now we're going to do the chamfer and then these grooves and then turn this. Diameter. That's the word I'm looking for there. That's too far out. There we go. There we go. And if you hear like the noise in the background, that's just my heaters going, because it is cold and windy out. That's the windows moving around. So right now I'm just getting my measurement where I'm okay with for this, and then we will transfer that over onto here. Looks good right there. That might have been a little bit too far. No, that'll be okay. That'll work. Whoops, dropping that again. Getting some chip buildup here. Knock those down. Alright, now we need to change bolt the cutter to my parting tool, which is what I'm using to make those grooves, and the speed. Gotta slow it down for using the parting tool. It is not like when I try to run it fast. So now, the easiest way I've found to get this in this kind of tool post, I wish I had a quick change so I could set it up real nice, but getting one on this machine is not very easy. Yeah, it's getting pretty good and windy out. So what I'm doing is I'm making it square to this. There we go. And that will give me the cut that I'm looking for. So there we go. Now I'm going to touch this but not turn it on, and zero here, and that's going to give me my depth, which should be about 3. Let's get our measurement. Okay, there we go. There. And let me move the camera again. Oop, stuck on something. And we're going to come over here. Where we can get into here and change the speed. So in here we have my speed gears. And this machine is done by these 3 pulleys. We're going to set it to its slowest speed, which is, what is it? 150 RPM. So there we go. Close that. I do need to turn a better little pin for there. I will do that eventually. I am just lazy. Alright, let's see, how are we looking? No, I don't think you can see that very good. I'll move you over to this end. Hopefully that'll show you what I got going on here. Get that. Yeah, so we got our parting tool here, trued it up on this shoulder in case you couldn't see it before, and now we're going to make the grooves on this. There's our 0. Now, measure again. We're doing the second one. There we go. good there. Zero again. Now onto the last groove. There we go. There's a zero for that. So there we go. Those are the grooves cut. Now we're going to turn down this diameter here and make the chamfer on this side of the bottom. To do that, I have to change the cutter again and change the speed back up to 1200. So we're going to use this cutter again, the same one we did the other side with, and this time it's going to be a little farther out to give us some clearance. First mark I'm going to make is going to be down here, which I don't need it fast for. That's just my clearance mark so that I don't crash it. Now we're going back, turning the speed back up, and then we will get to cutting. Okay, let's get our measurement. So the shoulder goes there. Yep, I like that. Bring you out, bring you down. Set you. Visual. Okay, that'll be good right there. See, I'm cutting going both directions on this operation. It just makes it go a little bit faster. We have a lot of bulk to get rid of here. Those are hot. Not talking much, kind of zoning out. It's what I do while I'm out here. But let's see where we're at. Not quite there yet, but let's see where we're at. We're going to 797 or 800-ish. $999. It's a little bit to go. Let's see where we're at now. $891. Okay. Now the other thing I want to check is to make sure it is roughly the right length. And it is, so that's good. Usually it's really short or long and I have to kind of make a step for the shoulder there to meet up. That's about right. Okay. One more pass. One more, shall we? Actually, I'll split it in two. Make two very little passes, or very light passes. Slowly, see if we can get a better finish on it. This cutter doesn't really leave the best finish normally. Let's see where we're at. Right now we should be right around where we want to be. 793. And I think we were aiming for 791. No, 798. Okay, so we're good. That is good enough. Now I'm gonna have to move the camera again for sanding, because I have to sand this side before we go to the other side, otherwise I won't be able to do it as easily. So let me just put that right there. Yeah, that should be good. So we're only sanding at 220, so it's only, what is it? 120 and then 220, so it's pretty quick. Now when I hit this shoulder here, it was just to break any sharp edges and all that. I'm not really concerned with sanding that because it's going to get covered up. So I really don't care about the finish there at all. Okay, so those look pretty good. Okay. should be good. Let's see. Yep, that'll be good enough. Because when we take it to the buffing, it'll clean that up pretty good. Now we're gonna flip it around and start doing the taper on this end. The tapers. One is at 10 degrees and one is at 6 degrees, I believe. I wrote them down wrong on my note. I wrote 5 and 3, but I believe each one of the things on here, each one of the indicator lines on my compound is 2. And then I think you double it, so it might be 20 degrees and then, or 12 degrees and 20 degrees maybe. I'm not sure. I'd have to do math, and I don't feel like it. Better tighten, make sure it's really quite good, because we're working all the way out here on this end and it's only holding this little bit. This is not the typical way to hold a piece like this. Not typical for this kind of work. So we're going back to our first cutter, this one. And then I will change the compound angle here, and we will be using that sort of like a taper cutter, I guess. I don't know, I've never actually used a taper cutter, so I do not know how they work. But for me, this is what I got, so that's what I'm using. Clean the chips off so I can see my mark. Oops. Knock the thing over. Turn that, and then we're going 5 lines. So that's 10 degrees on the compound. There we go. Bend it back down. Run it all the way forward. And I have my little compound turning tool here. Because you just hold this and it spins so it doesn't burn up your finger. Now we'll bring that all the way in until it gets to farther than we need it to go. Bring this all the way out. Shit, that's the wrong way. That's the 3-degree one. That was almost bad. 5-degree is the other direction. Come on. Go on the little thing. There we go. Tighten those back down. Okay, yeah. That looked a little weird to me, so good thing I caught that. Now what we're doing, make sure it's a little bit more than we need, but I can change that again later. And we're going to cut this taper right here on it. This is the last one. We'll cut this, do the threads, cut that. You can see it's a little off center, but that's okay. Just like before, I'm making a cut going both ways, but for doing a taper, I'm making a very light cut. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on it while it's only holding on that little bit. Some of the chatter I'm telling you this thing picks up. Lots of passes. We'll get there though. And earlier I was trying to render one of the other videos, the older ones, and for this same project, but I just never rendered it and uploaded it yet. And the computer decides it wants to run out of battery and die. It's really nice. Because I shoot in 4K and render in 4K. I don't know if YouTube even really has them coming out that good. I think something gets lost in the conversion on there. But it takes a really long time to render these things. Like, and I shoot real-time videos. I don't do the, a lot of makers and video people, they do like fast forwarded and cut videos. I don't know how to do that yet. So right now all my videos are on the long side, as I'm still learning. That's the hardest part for me, is the video editing part. And trying to figure out what to say while I'm doing it. I just kind of mumble to myself, I guess. And I don't know how entertaining it'll be. Main thing is I come out here and I have fun. It gets me out of my own head. Working on projects that'll making things I like. Sometimes you need that. Because then sometimes I do. Think that is good right there. Oh, not quite. Very close though. That was an extremely light pass, just trying to make this shoulder a little bit, yeah, better. And it is now. Okay. So now we're going to zero this back out. Now the reason I did this cut first, before threading, is I want to get some of that mass out of there. It just feels a little easier to me. And now we're going to face this off and get our overall length close. You'll notice with this project it's pretty much got everything close. Nothing is, you know, no micrometer level or indicator level precision here, just close. Okay, so it's looking like I only got a tiny bit to play with on that, so we'll face it off. That should be good. Oh, a little bit more. Yep, a little bit more. Whoops. Okay, there we go. See? It's fitting all the way on. I didn't cut a relief on that. I should have done that. Oh well. Too late now. What I'm talking about there is, if you look on this one, there's a relief cut here. So the pipe sits better, but even with the little radius from the cutter, it's okay. I'll just chamfer it out a little bit on the pipe for this one, and it will fit fine. Let's take you off so I don't lose you. Move you there. Okay, sorry about that. The battery died right there at the end. Where was I? So we're gonna start. We just finished this taper, and now we're going to thread this end. I believe it caught everything, so, because it died when I was kind of talking to myself. Not sure where the audio is gonna be like on that part, but that's okay. So we're doing the same thing we did before. Center drill. Oops. And then we're gonna run normal drill in. Now we're only going 1 inch deep on this side. So that's about 25 millimeters. And there's the 1 inch. So it's a little bit faster on this side, which is, I don't mind. We're going to put our tap in there, start it with this, and do the same thing as the other side. So don't lock the tailstock down. Spin it by hand. Now if you have a machine that can do it, you can leave this unlocked so it can move and run it in real slow. Like turn your speed all the way down like when I was cutting these grooves, and it'll pull the tap in. You have to be careful with that though, because it can bind or it can snap the tap. And as you can see, that would be no fun. So let's get a little tap handle on there. Oops, there we go. We'll move this out of the way again. Gotta keep moving the camera. Let's see how that angle is. That'll work. Feels pretty tight, so we'll move it out. Hopefully you can see all the chips falling out right here. That's it, just pulling all the chips from the cutting out. I got it most of the way out, then we're gonna thread it back in. And bottom it out. Okay, that's bottomed out. Now we're going to thread it all the way out, clean the tap off, and thread it all the way back in to clean up those very bottom threads. Doesn't really matter, but it's good practice. And like I said, if I had my compressor hooked up, which I don't, because I've been running nail guns, I'd blow it out and then run the tap all the way down. That's the easiest way. It's just because when it goes all the way in, sometimes there's chips on the end that don't let it thread all the way in. And this just cleans those up. There we go. And that's it. That's it for threading this part. Now I'm sure this is a longer video, but I have done, what is it? 5.5 of these so far. This will make 6 out of 8 for this project. So this is not a quick project, sadly. I thought it was going to go quicker than it did. I underestimated the amount of time that would be involved. Just clearing off some of the brass chips. I have a friend with a foundry, so I'll bring those over there. He can melt them down and turn them into a sculpture or something. Whatever he wants. So, I do save them. Alright, now this side we're gonna... Oh, nope, not yet. Not yet. I forgot. We have to chamfer this out, sorta. Cut a bit of an edge there. I gotta just get around the camera to load the big drill right there. And make sure, okay, that's still visible. So what we're gonna do is bring that in, lock it down, back it up. We're only coming in a little bit. That's only a little bit there. And what that is for is on our part, you could see this chamfered lip here and then the threads. So now when we thread it in, that rubber has a place to go. So it'll thread all the way down and sit nice and flat. So, see, and this you could just keep spinning forever because it's rubber, and the threads will just slip and all that. So, this test one is getting a little bit on the tired side from that, but I will be using new ones when I go to actually, you know, put my shelves together. So that's just our little lip there. Let me get my deburr tool. Trim that edge up, and now we're almost done. You have to cut the 3-degree angle this way, and then sand it, and then bring it over to the buffing wheel and buff it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. There we go. So this one, I want to have it out this way farther back, so that I know it's not what you call it, I'm gonna slide off the compound. Okay, there we go. I think we're over that still, but we'll find out. Oops. Yeah, 1258. So we got a little bit to go. Eight. Very close. Six. Okay. So we need to take off about 8. Now I just want to see how close I can get for this one part. It doesn't matter, but just to see if I can. Two. 202. A lot more time consuming to be as exact, and for a project like what I'm doing now, oh, 1199, that's close enough. 1/1000ths off on that one part there. The rest of it's completely off if you try to go by that accurate. But I just wanted to make sure I can. So now that that's done, I'm going to zero this back out so I don't forget. And then we're going to sand this side, and then we're going to go over to the buffing lathe and buff it over there. And that will make 6 of these done. Or 6.5. And I have 1.5 more to go. Yeah, it's so much easier with that thing. If you have a machine and it does not have a spinning end on the compound or any of the adjusters, make one of these and just spin that way. It's just a hole in a piece of brass. That's it. Nothing fancy. Use anything well, I don't know about Delrin, but brass, steel, bronze, whatever. So that is the machining done on one of the feet. So as you can see, we now have two, and this will be polished. This one was polished, but it's been sitting out here for like months, so it's got a bit of a patina on it. And when it's polished, it'll look real good. I'm going to repolish this one before it goes in the project. But we will go over to the buffing lathe now and show you that part. Okay, let me get that out of the way. Whoops. Knocked over a container. Let me put that there. So here we got the buffing machine. Let me turn the light on. It's not very good. Actually don't need it. Turn the light off. So what we're going to do is these two compounds, we got our rough and our fine buffing compound. This one we don't use on metal or acrylic or pretty much anything, because that's super fine and it just burns up everything. So we got Tripoli, I think. Load that up. Now this part is one of the machines you have to be more careful on. Pay attention to how you hold your part in the buffing machine. And make sure you're kind of aware of what's going on. This thing likes to throw stuff. And this is not a little piece of brass. So on the buffing machines, you always have to be aware. Okay, it's not doing as well of a job. Toss some more in there. I could have brought it to a higher sanding level, and that would have made this bring it to an even better shine. But I'm okay with it looking not quite great, not quite perfect, because I'm not going to seal these. The brass parts and the copper parts I'm going to leave exposed, and over time they'll pick up their own natural patina and get their own kind of look. I do want the majority of the machining marks to not be in it. So that's why I only went to the 220. You go to like 600 or 1,000, it'll give you a much better finish. And see what I mean by you gotta pay attention? It wanted to grab right there. little quick out just because it wanted to yank it. And you gotta pay attention to these buffers. These things like to throw stuff. Okay, that looks good enough. Let me grab a paper towel. Kind of wipe the compound off. Now I'm not done with the buffer yet, so that's why it's still on. Normally, I turn that off. That is definitely one of the more dangerous tools in here. And it's easy to underestimate that machine, which is what makes it more dangerous. It's very easy to overlook it. Get comfortable with it and then it yanks something out of your hand, throws it across the room or through the window there. Or you, if you're in the way. I'm just standing off camera, so I'm not across the room or anything like that. So here we have one of the full-size copper pipes I just want to polish real quick. Oh, it's hot. Those get hot. Just to get an idea what it's going to look like when it's done. That's not polishing up very quick at all. That'll be good enough. So here we have the copper pipe that's going to go over the end of the brass like that, and then we'll have our little rubber bit on the end, and that's one of the feet. And then down in there, a wooden dowel and the threaded rod will go. So that is one completed foot almost. And that's what it takes to machine the brass part of each one.